The movie starts by introducing this guy named Kim Ji-ho. He's at a seminar for his job. Ja-ho works as a researcher and goes out to different places to figure out where his company can hold events. But at the seminar, he seems really tired and not into it, like he's hiding some sadness. The reason? His girlfriend broke up with him not long ago. He was super into her, but she chose another guy over him. So Ja-ho's heartbroken and can't really get over it. That's why he's not really up for starting a new relationship. After the seminar thing, Ja-ho gets ready to head to Jeju Island for some research. The big boss at his company knows about his recent breakup, so he tells Ja-ho to do his work and also take a break on the island. Once he gets to the airport in Jeju, he grabs a taxi to a place called San Diego Inn, which is pretty close to the ocean. The inn is filled with couples and groups of people on vacation. But Ja-ho's there all by himself. Some of the folks notice he's alone and ask him to join them for some fun and beer in the evening. He gives it a shot, hangs out a bit, but then heads back to his room feeling kinda down. Before he goes to sleep, his boss texts him, telling him to enjoy his vacation on the island. So Ja-ho decides to hit the sack. It's really chilly, so he wraps himself up real good in a blanket to keep warm. Unfortunately, that night, Ja-ho had no idea that a stranger sneaked into his room and took his wallet and all the money from his bag. When he found out about the theft, the next day he went to the local police station to report what had happened. At the police station, he meets a girl who lost her cell phone in her room at the lodging. Turns out she's also on a solo work vacation at Jeju Island, just like Ja-ho. The police officers felt bad for them when they heard about the incident, so they treated Ja-ho and the girl to some warm raiment for breakfast. Then the police suggested they go to a place called the Rose Inn. It's a spot where people who went through things like theft can stay. So Ja-ho and the girl packed up their stuff from the old place and headed to the Rose Inn. Once they got there, they were welcomed by a really nice old lady. She even made them some food to eat together. They sat down and shared stories about their lives while having their meal. The next day, Ja-ho was strolling around the inn when he accidentally bumped into someone and spilled the person's coffee. He said sorry and promised to pay for a new cup, but then he realized his wallet was missing. He got all confused about how to handle it, and that's when the girl saw what happened. She offered to help him pay for the coffee, and then they ended up going to a coffee shop and chatting while having coffee together. During their talk, the girl asked Ja-ho if she could borrow his phone. She promised that in exchange, she'd covered his expenses until he got his money sorted out. After a short call, she gave the phone back and requested if she could stick with Ja-ho for a bit until she heard from her friend. Ja-ho agreed and let her tag along. Later that day, Ja-ho and the girl hop on a bus together. They were off to a flowery field on Jeju Island to enjoy the natural beauty. The next day, Ja-ho went to the local bank to take care of his credit card issue and breathed a sigh of relief once he had it back. Meanwhile, the girl got herself a new cell phone to stay in touch with her buddies in Seoul. After that, Ja-ho continued exploring Jeju Island for his research, and the girl did her thing too. She started visiting all the cool tourist spots on the island to help with her work. One time, as Ja-ho sat alone in the woods, lost in thought, he remembered the tough time when he and his ex-girlfriend broke up. It's pretty clear he's still hung up on her, because he had this necklace he gave her that he still holds onto. Come evening, Ja-ho and the girl hit up a small restaurant for dinner. They needed to warm up since it was so chilly, and the rain was coming down harder. While they ate, the girl opened up about why she came to Jeju Island all by herself. She's a writer working for a publishing company, and she's on a mission to finish up her book. One of the things she's writing about is Jeju Island, so she thought it'd be smart to come over and learn about it firsthand. During breakfast, Ja-ho noticed that the girl wasn't feeling too good. She was sneezing a lot. The lady who runs the rented room saw this too and told her to take it easy in her room. So Ja-ho took the lead and went to the nearby pharmacy. He got some medicine and warm drinks for the girl. She was resting in her room when she heard Ja-ho bringing the stuff in. She thanked him and seemed really happy that he cared. After that, Ja-ho had to go meet with a client about work stuff. His job is to find a good spot for a big company event. A few days later, the girl felt better and got back to her book work. Then, one day, Ja-ho got a call from a number he didn't know, saying they're the girl's friend. He went looking for the girl to let her know. It took a bit, but he found her eating in a food truck. He lent her his phone, and when she was done, she gave it back and thanked him. To show her gratitude, she invited Ja-ho to have dinner at their inn with the lady who runs the place. They had some sashimi and talked about their lives, trying to get to know each other better. After that day, Ja-ho and the girl spent more time together, and their bond grew stronger. The thing is, the girl was actually starting to fall for Jaho, but she was too shy to say anything. As they spent time together, she learned more about Jaho, and it came out that he couldn't move on from his ex-girlfriend. It turns out, Jaho was the third person in his ex's love triangle. He and his ex-girlfriend were secretly together because they loved each other, even when she was engaged to someone else. Now, Jaho regrets what he did and is dealing with the consequences. Hearing all that, the girl tried to make Jaho feel better by saying he wasn't a bad person for following his heart. But deep down, she felt kind of let down because she had hoped there could be something between them. However, it seemed like that wasn't possible if Jaho still had feelings for someone else. In the evening, the girl took Jaho to see a cool tourist spot and they shopped for souvenirs together. At one point, she even told Jaho in Chinese that she loved him.
关于你，我还有你对我的看法。
They rode a motorbike back to the inn after that. Later that night, Jaho kept thinking about what the girl had said. He sort of understood, but he acted like he didn't because he was still scared to get into another romantic relationship. Next morning, Jaho asked the girl to go back to the police station they had been to before. He wanted to give the police officer a box of cup ramen as a thank you for the help. After that, they went to a flower shop together. Jaho noticed the girl liked red roses, so he decided to get them for her. The day after, the girl had to head back to Seoul because she had all the info she needed for her book. On a rainy afternoon, she said her goodbyes to Jaho and told him they could say hi if they ever met again. The next day, Jaho had to say bye to the lady who ran the room he stayed in because he had to go back to Seoul soon. Before leaving, he tossed the necklace he once gave his ex-girlfriend on the beach. It looked like Jaho was deciding to move on from his ex. Back at home, he got the book the girl wrote, and he started sharing his Jeju Island adventures with his bosses while they had some beers. Once he got back to work at the office, he bumped into the same girl from Jeju Island. They said hi to each other. Jaho's work buddy noticed they seemed to recognize each other, so he asked Jaho if he knew her. Jaho kind of fibbed, saying she was just someone he met on Jeju Island the other day. When the girl heard that, she seemed really down and left, tears in her eyes. Jaho rushed after her, telling her it was all a mix-up. She pretended she was okay, even though she was holding back tears. The next day, Jaho tracked down the girl's workplace using the address in her book. He wanted to clear up the confusion from the other day and say sorry. He told her he had really missed her while they were apart and had hoped they'd meet again. When the girl heard this, it hit her that Jaho had feelings for her too. But she wasn't sure about being with him, since he used to still have feelings for his ex-girlfriend. So she left to take some time and think things through until she was sure. After a while, the girl came back to Jeju Island and went to all the places Jaho had been. At the same time, Jaho couldn't stop thinking about her and everything related to her. He remembered everything, from when she was sick to when she confessed in Chinese. All of it just made him miss her more. And then, when Jaho was busy with an event on Jeju Island with his work buddies, he actually ran into the girl. She turned around when Jaho's boss called his name. Turns out the girl's name was also Jaho. With that encounter, they decided to go out and start their romantic journey together as a couple. So the moral of the story is sometimes losing your wallet can help you find your heart. Just make sure you don't lose both at the same time.